Please note that all 5 board members are in attendance. Mr. Johnson is attendance via conference call. We have an agenda before us. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Just one announcement to the board. As y'all know, blood supplies are low as a result of people canceling appointments. We have an opportunity to lend one of our facilities to the blood center to do a blood drive to gather needed blood in our community. And I just want to let the board know that in this emergency circumstance, that since no one will be inhabiting the building, I was going to allow that to happen. Making you aware we're just trying to fill in an emergency situation.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Item 1B, discussion of fiscal school closure until April 17th per the governor of the state of Mississippi.
Yesterday, we received guidance simultaneously from the board, Mississippi School Board, Mississippi State Superintendent, and the governor of the state of Mississippi that will be closed until April 17th, physically closed for students to come to our facilities. We have been given the opportunity, and we will be operating under further guidance from Jim Keith in his webinar later this morning as it relates to essential employees. Of course, you know, under federal regulations, we're still feeding students on a daily basis. That will probably expand next week to include our transportation department as well as expanded child nutrition. We are staggering the schedules of people so that we can maintain social distancing, but also maintain our operations. We still have to function. We still have board meetings to attend. We still have business to set up for considering budgeting for next year and other business procedures outside the realm of the normal school day. All academics from a accountability standpoint have been waived by the state, and they'll be asking for a federal waiver. We'll maintain our accountability rating from last year, so that's something that we won't have to be concerned about. We are currently putting packets out through our feeding system, but next week, and Stanley can explain to you a little more comprehensively, we'll actually be allowing parents to come to schools, pick up packets for their children, age-appropriate packets. We will be checking those packets off, and then those students who do not come to pick up packets will be mailing packets to from that. At the secondary level, we've been processing inventories for which students have devices and do not have devices for 9 through 12. Those students who do not have devices but do have capability through the internet, we will be providing them a device. The other students will have to accommodate in a different fashion. We're also reaching out to make the accommodations for our special education students by having adapted lesson plans created and adapted packets created beginning next week. So those will go out so we can maintain full inclusion for all of our students. You've got a list of the different assignments and roles of our employees as it relates to support so that we can maintain paying them. And we are saying that child nutrition, custodial, transportation, clerical, teacher assistants, nurses are all essential employees, and we will provide them with a schedule that they will have to follow. We will determine whether we'll properly take leave in the event that they do not adhere to the standard that we set forth through our meeting today and in the future based on the guidance of the law and what we're able to do.
So this isn't something we need to approve this schedule. This is just something for information.
I'm just making you aware this is what we're going to require our people to do, and I'm asking you to give me your review. If it's not an official board approval, that you acknowledge that you received this, and this is the standards. We've actually looked at multiple plans from multiple districts. We have been in communication with Gulfport. We've been in communication with Vicksburg, Warren, Clinton. You know, there's several models out there that we're looking at, and we've all kind of interchanged ideas.
Does anybody have any questions about the schedule or the plan?
Quick question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
So I thing I guess question or just wanted to make sure as we move forward with the packets, distribution at the schools and things like that, I think the plan is great. I think it's something that we need to be doing for our students. With us having the closure of schools, I know right now I think we are kind of working that in with our meal distribution to the degree that we can. I guess a system, Belinda, I don't know how we deal about, the possibility of 300 parents, coming in and doing it in the school office, while we still kind of got a closure going on. I don't know if we're cutting our nose off to spite our base data. We might not want to look at some sort of system where they buzz in for the school what they need, and then we drop it out the door, or we just gonna open the school up and let everybody come and go.
Our plan is to have 2 days of distribution at the school during limited hours, and they will communicate through the door, and it'll basically be a hand that goes out the door to the parent at that point in time. And then we'll mail any that don't, on Friday, any that haven't been picked up, we will mail to the house.
Okay, perfect. And I think that's a great plan. That works good because it almost defeats the purpose if we're letting everybody come and go and out the right time or not. But I just want to say, I spent some time at College Park yesterday with Ms. Rose and Ms. Ron and Dr. Hoover and Cheese and Officer Cowan, and the line for feeding was steady. It never checked up for the 45 minutes or so I was there. And just thank you for the quick response. All of those in attendance and stepping up and doing what we needed to do for our students on behalf of the district. That I appreciate everyone that's been involved so far.
I have to compliment Sarah Busby, who's basically worked every single day since we got out of school, who has done that. She's also created a evolution of that plan to expand the plan to reach more students through our transportation department, which is good. I think out of 2,000 meals yesterday, we distributed 1,744 on that first day of breakfast and lunch. We're doing things today. But the biggest thing for me, Mr. Johnson, is I want to make sure it's on the record of the response of parents and how well everything went and how grateful parents were that we were providing this opportunity to our school district, because that was the most rewarding thing for us. And of course, when you have Stuart Smirthwaite dressed up as Captain Underpants, it really does lighten the mood for everybody.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know that all the parents will be able to unsee it.
I also want to say thank you. And Mr. Johnson, I was going to go down that line as well and just say whenever we are having meals handed out, we'll talk to the parents about packets and whatever, maybe some of them stuff from there. One of the other questions, I guess, is when we start this meal for transportation, how are we going to get a list of who we're going out to, and how is that going to take place?
It's already been structured. Number one, there's different, the apartment complexes is one, Section 8 housing is another. We're interfacing with the offices there to let them know the time that we'll be there for drop off. The students can accumulate it at that spot. We'll have the same process for handing food out. There will not be any physical contact between the child and the person distributing the meal. It'll be set out for the child to pick up, and very much the same way we did things yesterday. And we actually yesterday at Calmer School, I was there with them. They started at 10:45, and we had a steady stream of traffic until 1 o'clock. And out of that group, every parent, there was a set of instructions given to parents, and you probably witnessed it. But there was a card or a piece of paper, and parents, just so you have to minimize communication, would hold up. I have 2 second graders, I have 1 first grader, and there are 4 of us in the car. And then we give the meals for the children that were in the car, plus the packets. All that was assembled. We had 4 different tables working at one time, so it was very efficiently done. All administrators are there working those sites, and they'll be doing that when it expands as well.
I just asked if once we get the list of all the apartments or whatever, just so someone in the community asks me where to pick up.
Yeah, it's already been created. I'll send that to you Dan Friday update.
Okay. Second thing, for our high school, and we're talking about, have we got any kind of idea of the ratio of how many kids have internet versus
Where the high schools are finishing that up now, they're going in and asking, we've asked every parent, do you have internet access? Meaning, do you have cable one, or do you have a cell phone access? And number two, do you have a device? Do you have a laptop? Do you have a cell phone? Things like that. And they compile that. So what I'm gonna do is take a look at and match up how many of them have internet, but they don't have a device, so we can start to make a list of who on the secondary can with their Chromebook to, but then who are those that have neither? Because if I give them a Chromebook, if you don't have internet, it's not gonna do me good. That way we can really pinpoint those that we need to make sure we're getting those resources to.
Oh, and that,
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Lyden.
one of the things also, excuse me, we're getting those names and we're marking those names, so we know who to, I guess, create individual packets for our individual students. And we're gonna mail them to those students. CTL is gonna put those packets together, working with their teachers. So we're not just, I guess, broadcasting thousands of packets out. They'll go to the kids that need them, and the kids that have online will work online.
Great. That was gonna be my next question, so you covered it. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the faculty and staff that come out and help. At times like this, I guess you don't realize that teachers, they really love these kids. Most of them can't wait to get back to teaching, so I appreciate everything you're doing.
So one other thing that's going to come up, and I think 3 of the 4 here, or 4 of the 5 board members are parents in our district, is going to be graded versus completion. And right now, what we're looking at is completion of these assignments from an enrichment standpoint. But at the same time, we may have a senior, because we've shut down grading at the end of 39 weeks, and we may have to say, okay, well, I've got a child that's got a government course that right now they're not passing, or this child's not turned in their term paper and they're not passing. Well, those requirements in order to get those students above, to be able to walk, is going to be the same thing. And then down the line, because I'm trying to ease parents' concerns, we may even end up with a situation, if we're still at mass chaos when it comes to May, that we may create some type of virtual graduation ceremony where we figure out how to get gowns to the students and do a walkthrough across the stage at Performing Arts Center where you can video the whole thing. You still have that moment of walking across the stage, receiving diplomas. It's not as intimate a moment, but it is a way to try and just an idea. So I just want to let the board know we're already thinking forward to those types of things for our kids. In the event that we can't have a mass gathering, that maybe we can do a staggered social spacing of our seniors and have at least that part of the ceremony for our parents.
Any other?
That sounds good. I know on secondary, the work is already trickling down. The invites are already coming out from a lot of the educators via Google Classroom. There's students that do have access and who have the license to go ahead and get the ball rolling. So we appreciate that. Just encourage the follow-up if we see that we're not getting response out of these students. I know it's done now, but I've got another student that's locked in with us in our home for the next several weeks. Some work schedules with their parents, but sharing the class with my daughter, and the one student got the invite on Google Classroom, and the other didn't. We're going to say it's corrected now, it's fixed. So I know it's a lot of kids, and the new crop will get starting, but just encourage the follow-up. If we're filling these things out and we see we're not getting it, let's double back and check and make sure that everything's going the way it should. And I do agree, having some of those conversations yesterday with a few people, that we need to go ahead and let parents know that, that school might be out, but it's not closed, and that the information, these packets that we're sending home, the work that's being issued through Google Classroom, it's not a joke. This is not summer vacation, and the onus is going to be in the household, unfortunately, a majority, to get this stuff
again, while we have this forum with our board president, let me just say that we have contingencies in place for these types of events, but when you start applying a contingency, sometimes you oversaturate your communication level. And I think we did that in spots, especially at the secondary level, because we kind of bombarded parents on a single day. And we are structuring it now to where those will be staggered communications. But what I will say to parents is I'll apologize for us hitting you all at one time, but we're going to sustain our relationship to the best of our ability with our teachers and keeping them engaged to answer the questions you need answered for your children. And that will come out later today in a video that I'll produce related to what our expectations are and how parents can help us with their children. And the biggest thing is keeping the lines of communications open between the home and the school district.
Anybody else have anything to add or any questions?
I've got a few. Okay, so do we have kind of a timeline on when we'll get devices to students with internet?
The secondary principals are supposed to be finalizing, getting with those, all their students today. So I will start working on those numbers and we're gonna come up with a plan for hopefully the beginning part of next week. We've got the devices, we just wanna make sure that those who have internet but need a device, get them in hand. So once I have numbers, my team is gonna start working together to how we can get them out to kids properly and keep everybody safe.
But we're hoping by Wednesday of next week that we can have that done, and we'll be presenting, we got some different bags, and if we don't have enough bags, we'll be presenting those with the charger and the computer in a bag. But there's also a form that the parent has to fill out about making sure that we're responsible. There's an anticipated loss of equipment and damage to equipment anytime it goes home. So we're going to have that form filled out to make sure that we're covered on our side as well. Because there's potential to have to replace a number of devices at the conclusion of this year based on this, putting these machines out.
Understood. So
Sorry.
are we, is the plan gonna be in place on Wednesday, or are we hoping to start delivering devices and have them delivered?
Well, I'm hoping that parents are going to come up and get the devices on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. I'm hoping that we'll be concluded with getting the distribution of the resources out to parents on what we're expecting from them.
What is the plan for the students who have no internet access?
Well, there's Comcast is already offering free, and I've launched this balloon out there for all these providers that there needs to be a bandwidth free zone for the foreseeable future. We'll see how they come back with that, but
And I know that Mr. Ladner mentioned those, once we have the numbers and we know those that don't have a device and they don't have internet, we can, secondary, if I misspeak, Mr. Ladner, please correct me. They can look at their schedules and CTL can create a packet specifically for them. So if they're sitting in biology, algebra 1 and history, we can mail them a packet that meets those specific needs. And one thing I did want to add, because of the way our content filter is set up and the way that we have our devices set up, if a student sits down at home with the device, they have to log in with their account and they will still have to meet our content guidelines. So they we will still be meeting those federal guidelines that I have to meet for internet access. And we'll still be able to make sure that they're not going towards the direction they don't need to be going towards. They're still gonna have those guidelines in place. So,
and to give you a better understanding of our ability to mobilize, Belinda, can you explain the number of packets that we created Tuesday? Was it Tuesday? What's today? Friday? Wednesday?
I can't remember, Wednesday.
We mobilized a team of about 14.
We
I
did
guess.
we did 500 per grade except for pre-K. We only did 100 pre-K, but, and so we did those are just review packets. We're not even gonna ask for those back that are going out with feeding and distribution. When we did 3 weeks of those, so they got a packet on Thursday. There's another packet that will go Monday next week, and then a following packet the following Monday. But the packet we'll be giving out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. We're trying to look at skills. In 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th, we were in review mode. We were moving into review mode for testing. But K1 and 2, we were still teaching skills. So CTL went through and looked at the most important skills and paced out for teachers exactly what will be in that packet. And so some of that will be brand new skills to children, and we're going to do videos and different things like that for them to be able to get the information, but also have access to their teachers through email or phone calls or anything like that. But So that's, those 4 packets we're gonna ask for them to return to the teacher upon, completed upon returning back to school. So a little different in those, but we, I had the majority of my team administrators up there, making packets, running copies. That was probably the hardest part, was getting all the copies made of, to just try to get some things out. So we put things out like multiplication facts, cursive handwriting or, regular handwriting, some review vocabulary, some of that type of stuff. We tried to do some stories so they would have some things to read in those packets that they were picking up with video.
I also received compliments from the lines, the work packets, the meal delivery at the schools. I've seen where other school districts, or I think we have one school for each city right now, right?
Right now, until Monday. Monday, there will be 3 in each city plus the transportation.
When you say 3 in each city.
Be 3 in Pascagoula, it'll be PHS, Commerce, and Arlington.
Okay.
And it will be Gautier Elementary, College Park, and Martin Bluff.
All right.
As well as buses.
Okay, that was my question. So we're moving to a 3 location.
Yes.
Okay, 'cause that's what I'd started seeing in other school districts, is they had multiple
She just had to
locations.
get through these 2 days with where she was, and then she brings more employees in. There's certain schools she can't serve from simply because of, and she can explain this more, but like freezer space type things, so she can't serve from every single site. But the buses, when you see that list, you will see that they're going to sites where lots of kids, where they pick up lots of kids, so they're kind of going to different places, a lot of apartment complexes and things, but also just like they're going to an empty lot near my house. That's kind of where they pull the bus in and kids can congregate and that kind of, so kids can get there. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, so the system beginning next week is going to be 3 locations in each city, plus bus delivery into certain neighborhoods.
Right. And that will be
And
advertised.
apartment complexes, because yesterday while I was working.
Yes,
with-
it's a lot of apartment
Yeah, while I was
complexes.
working in the lines, I was talking to apartment complex managers, because I deal with them when we do our delivery of books to homes. So I always have to work through those managers first. And I was telling them, look, we're about to come to your place. Can you let your residents know, just be an extra, because we'll probably have a central location at most of the apartment complexes, except for the really big ones like Shortcut Road. The ones,
That's Ocean States, they're going to Ocean States, they're going to one out by Walmart, Monaco Lake. I think Grove Glen is listed on there, and I don't remember this. But then there's also places like they're going to like a church that's kind of in a central area where they know kids can get to, and some of that type of stuff. So
but what's in your copy of that document? It's already produced.
Yeah.
It's
they got it.
You said Arlington, Coleman, PHS.
Arlington, Commerce, VHS. Oh, here we go. Look, here's the site. All right, in Gautier, it's at Liberty Church on Gautier Van Cleave Road, Singing River Mall parking lot, Gautier City Park by the Senior Day Building, south end of Ladnier Road, parking lot Beverly intersection, that whole area. The parking lot at Shoe Depot, which is by the Isle of Pines Trailer Park, so all of them. Ocean Estates, Martin Bluff Baptist Church, Life Church, and Cambridge Baptist Church. So those are your Gautier sites. And transportation created this based on where they pick up kids mainly. In Pascagoula, you're at Monaco Lake, Regency Woods, they're gonna stop at Cherokee because there's 3 apartment complexes there, so they're just gonna go to school. Ingalls and Martin, there's a lot right there that kind of can bring those kids down. The Church of Jesus Christ on Martin as well. Colonial Manor, First Presbyterian, DuPont and Canty, there's a lot there. Alex and Daniels, South Mississippi Surgeons, which is on Telephone Road, and gets that area there. Cambridge Apartments, which is the big one on Shortcut, and then Taylor Heights, which is on the far from Automobile.
And what about work packets? It's beginning next week. Is that going to be at all the 3 locations?
They'll be at those 3 sites.
Okay, the bus delivery is just for meals.
And like I said, those are just review packets. The one we're gonna ask back will be the one they will pick up from the school and we will mail later.
And the other thing, because while we have this public forum again, and while we have YouTube availability, I want to acknowledge M&M Bank, who contacted me, actually, Royce Cummins himself contacted me and said, Wayne, is there anything we can do for the schools, cleaning supplies or anything? And I said, Royce, we're really in pretty good shape from a supply standpoint, but Backpack Buddies has really been helpful to us, especially in the initial phase of this closure. And I said, anything you can do for Backpack Buddies. So they delivered a check for $2,000 to Backpack Buddies. And I want to say thanks to that bank, Royce Cummins and his team, Stacy Bond Inlow for their contribution to the Backpack Buddies program, which supports our children in both Gautier and Pascagoula.
What do we envision Backpack Buddies' role will be moving forward as we ramp up our meal delivery?
There'll be supplemental for weekends.
which is what they already do.
Supplemental for weekends.
That's their role anyway.
Okay, will we assist in that, in like the
Well,
Friday delivery?
We're
Or
volunteering.
how does that work?
We're doing a lot of volunteer work through our nurses and our other employees. Most of our administrators were out. We delivered 350 meals on Monday, Tuesday.
I communicated with Colleen on Tuesday about sites, about having kids' names so they could pick them up at the food sites. But they could also, at this point, potentially be able to pick them up at their regular school sites. They would just have to pick them up during the hours of the administrators.
They're a little over 3 hours. 350 meals are delivered to the front door of children's homes.
And what they delivered that day was a week's worth of it. But typically, it's just backpacks, it's typically weekends, so that's what they would go back to. But that was because we had not set up feeding at that point in time, so that was a week's worth.
I had some questions about something similar to what Mr. Johnson was talking about, and that's kind of holding us accountable, holding parents accountable, holding students accountable, which is going to be, there are many, many challenges. That may not be the most significant challenge, but it is a challenge for y'all as educators to hold us accountable as parents and to hold students accountable, especially since we're not going to be testing. I don't disagree with that, the completion versus the testing mentality. It sounds like that's where we're going, completion versus testing. But traditionally in education, how we hold students accountable is testing. So I'm interested to hear, as I was a kindergarten and fourth grade teacher for a day and a half this week, and it was a challenge. How are y'all gonna hold us accountable as parents? We need accountability. We need, I'm concerned that once we realize that it's just completion, that we start focusing on our jobs, we start focusing on our volunteer activities as parents, and we're not focusing as much on educating our children, because it seems like for the foreseeable future, at least for the next month, the education of our children is falling on to the parents. And so how can y'all hold us accountable? How can y'all hold us as parents accountable? How can y'all hold students accountable?
I can speak to how what I'm going to expect of my employees. Assistant teachers and teachers, I'm going to expect that they have communicated to the best of their ability. There will be some they won't be able to communicate with ever. I mean, but the majority that they communicate with every week, just to make sure, if you have any questions, is there anything I can help you with? That's one thing I'm going to put in my hands of my teacher assistants, is to make sure that they're making those phone calls, because that's how they can contribute from home. Not that teachers won't, but teachers can do that as well. But that kind of be that during a week's time, the teacher assistant has communicated with every child in the class that they, our parent, or as much as they can, just to see how it's going, how can I help. I will tell you, I'm going to ask counselors to reach out to our kids that we have been counseling with. We do. Our counselors at the elementary level are a little different than they are at the secondary level. They're scheduling and looking at graduation and those types of things. Ours are more, are you okay? Mental health, how can I support you? So counselors will be doing that as well. And we'll just do the best we can. I mean, we try to hold parents accountable all the time. It's one of those things that we're successful in some cases, and in others, those are the ones you worry the most about, because you wonder what's going on.
Yeah, there's a old saying that Hank Downs actually coined when he was here, and I'm sure he got it somewhere else, but Hank said that we never circle the wagons and shoot on the inside whenever we're trying to accomplish something. And I think making parents part of the process is very helpful to us, being very positive in what we're doing, being obscure in the way we deliver instruction. I mean, for the next 10 days, I'll be reading a book to children that are low, young children, and I'll just go online and read a book, and parents can download it, or just let their kids see it. I'm asking people to be very creative in how they do it, but I'm also going to ask parents, whenever I get this update today, that we need to make sure we're finding a tote, finding a plastic bag, finding something that every time your child creates an artifact of any kind of work, and I'm even looking at finding an art contest, because art, visual arts, graphic arts right now may be kind of on the back burner. Well, I say this is a tremendous opportunity for us to have a little art contest. Hey, we're going to hang 6 pieces of art in the brand new Performing Arts Center. So be working on some form of art about how you're feeling, or we'll capture. So there's going to be a lot of different things we're going to do to create and inspire people to be creative in their learning. And there are so many resources. I mean, we've been working on resources for weeks since I started, and Ms. Harvell has loaded the internet with things for kids to do. We're pulling things every day for my own children to do. So we're going to involve parents, but at the same time, and I've told this as everybody in our group, we will not have a negative interaction with a parent under any circumstance. It's a time of high stress, and we are the people who have to lead people through this situation and help them with their kids, because parents are overwhelmed. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. She all of a sudden has 4 kids back in the house with her. She's overwhelmed with everything that has to be done. And I'm in a very good circumstance compared to a lot of parents out there who have 2 working parents and don't have a place for their children to be, and are having to find babysitters and grandmothers and those type of people. So we just have to be super positive, and we have to stay in communication with our parents. Let me just say this is the last part, because we work through school status, and I've sent y'all the information. We're one of 6 districts in the state who have a 90% interaction rate with parents. And so we were doing a really good job before we got there. And now the big thing is we're going to have to set a plan between Rhett and Melinda that we aren't hitting Ms. Wilson with 4 phone calls from one school and 5 phone calls from another school at the same time when you're sitting there trying to work through your work. So we have to set some parameters for that. And that's one of the things we learned this week about not overdoing it with our communications.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it seems like maybe, I mean, just as a parent, it'd be helpful to me as opposed to like teachers calling me and just saying, you have any questions? And, and it's just out of the blue. And I say, not really. If they would just say, okay, what did y'all do last week? We're not judging you. Just tell me what your kids did, or track it in some form or fashion. Because I think the intent is to pay the teachers, right? And that's what's going to happen. And like, and I agree, it needs to be positive, but it would help to have some accountability for us to be able to explain what we are doing at home in a positive manner. I'm not saying that, but there's no stick necessarily, and that's good because it's purely completion. But it would be helpful to have something more than just, is everything okay? And I just say sure.
Well, the other thing is we're going to have all this documentation to validate that we actually did do something while we're out of school. And that's why I've emphasized it's not a vacation for anybody, not for our employees. Everybody that works for us will be paid through the 17th. So you're going to have to continue to earn that money. And here's the upside for a teacher. I'm not dealing with classroom management. I'm not figuring out what kids go to what lunch. Did you bring your lunch today? I'm not dealing with lining kids up in the hallway to go to the bathroom. I'm not at recess and all that. All my job is right now is to communicate and support children in the learning, and the same thing for our assistant teachers. That'll be their primary function. Those primary functions will be the same. Custodial functions, maintenance functions, all those will remain the same. Transportation, it'll be adapted, but it'll still be the same. And our big thing is there's a legal, and we can't really get into it. I know you guys have other plans and things to do, but there is a guideline for us on the grading side that we have to be very careful with, which we've received extreme guidance on from the MDE as it relates to creating a equitable environment for every child to learn in. And it's one of the things that kind of looms over us whenever we're trying to put all these plans together. And that's created the greatest amount of animosity whenever we're trying to put it together, because it's like, let's get this information out, but there's a process we have to follow, and that's why we're kind of slowing down a little bit and just making these enrichment packets for these next 2 handouts, and then we'll get the real, actually targeted stuff on the next go around.
On the accountability aspect, I assume principals who oversee teachers, that they'll still try to be holding their teachers accountable for maintaining contact, and the teachers for my 2 children they've been great, and I'm not saying that they've been wonderful and been in constant communication, but I just, I think there may be, situations. I assume principals are trying to hold their teachers accountable in this new environment. It's a different environment. I get that. But I assume that they're trying to do that too.
And on this form we gave you, it clearly states for teachers, number one, they're to continue their lesson plans that they've been doing. They're to be available by phone and email during work hours to respond to parents during that time. And they're to document all work-related assignments, and the ability we have to keep up with as a school status records everything that teacher does. All the lesson plans are turned in online, so if you've got 9 out of 9 lesson plans, and then you've got a continuous contact with your parents, we're gonna have the documentation in place. And if the principal goes through and looks at that and says, well, there's not been contact here, well, they immediately will call the teacher and say, hey, I need you to get on this, or, so there will be accountability.
What about PE coaches? I mean, then, it'd be helpful, quite frankly, if a PE coach would send out materials to a parent like me and say, these are some of the things the kids can be doing. We're gonna have some rain days.
Yeah, there's been
My
some
daughter's
Facebook stuff.
coach is put on
They're
Facebook
doing
and
Facebook
she's
Live
watching.
stuff.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, a
doing
lot
Facebook
of them
Live
have already
recording.
put stuff out.
And not only that, from a Facebook standpoint, guys, and I know everybody doesn't have Facebook, but it's really we're really getting a lot of information out there and a lot of lessons and a lot of reading to kids. So it's been saturated, and we're gonna continue that effort.
And Mr. Aldrich mentioned a website. I definitely can't take credit. Ms. Jeannie Steer has completely transformed the website. Anything and everything we have, we're trying to put a curated list for parents. Not only for parents of, resources that are online, but offline, take away the technology and go do these things with your kids. Virtual tours, anything that we call teachers, share. We've started creating a resource for teachers, not only ours, but teachers throughout Mississippi. You've just been thrown into becoming a distance learning educator, which is completely different from face-to-face. Here are the resources that you can use that are going to continue to keep our data private, because we have to make sure we do that, that are, getting the education across. These are things that you can do. The importance of Stoney, Rogers, and Jeannie Steer is very big, because we've got to do this distance learning. So anything that we do, the videos that Mr. Alfich has done, our teachers have done, the Facebook Lives, we're trying to put it all in one place. So a parent can go, I'm going to go here, iReady. Let's make sure we do iReady. Here's a really great resource we can add, so that they're not having to go to 25 different places. We're trying to put it all in one place.
And what about, and I know extracurricular activities take a backseat to what we're dealing with. Certainly they do, but they provide an outlet and a stress reliever to some of our children. Our batting cage is open right now for kids. I mean, are we shut down? Are we not letting kids with batting cages? Kids in band that play the trumpet, are they able to take their trumpet home and practice, or is all that in school?
This can all be done through the pickup process of next week. And yeah, the batting cages, I think, are open. For those, there are enough keys out there. But again, we have to monitor the social distancing aspect of whomever goes out there. Because that's one thing I've had to tell our coaches. I understand we're in the midst of baseball season and softball season, but we can't officially practice during this time. The resources are present.
And I've had some band directors contact me, hey, we have this resource, can you look at it, and so that we can maybe connect with our students and help them with their band presence in secondary, with their instrument playing and things like that. So teachers are really stepping up and trying to do what they can. We're just trying to work to get it together so that we can share it, and it's one, it's not like Mr. Doctor said, 25 different text messages. It's a united front from the district. These are the resources for teachers. These are the resources for parents. We're here for you. Here, this is your spot to go.
And I think from accountability, what I've done to kind of hold myself accountable and my kids is we journal, what did you do today? And with my high schooler, of course, I can look and make sure that, because I get all of her assignments come to me via text. So I know exactly what she's got to do and when she's got to do it. But the younger one, she'll either, paint a picture, she's really into art, I drew, I went outside, looked for geckos, like whatever. But I kind of just have like a little pad like that and just kind of make sure that we're not taking a month off school, that we're actually doing things and trying to check off. I haven't told them this isn't being graded. Don't do that. Well, like, it's very important you finish this and do it correctly. But just to kind of make sure I don't get comfortable with not having to, get grades to turn in, but just to kind of keep a little journal of what we're doing and doing it try to change it up. I don't want to paint a picture every single day. Like, let's mix it up and let's do some math stuff or whatever. But
Well, I don't know if Dr. Malone remembers that, and whenever we had 9/11, we did a project for our kids, the emotional aspects of it. And so I had every student in the school at Pascagoula High School write a poem, write a song, draw a picture, tell us something about it. And then we backed every single article. We cut every article out, and we created this gigantic exhibit that spanned the entire hallway of how kids felt. And that's another process that we can also use. And that's a process they're asking us to do mental health exercises with children as well. And that's another thing we could do. We could actually create a exhibit within each school, so that'll embed something in children's mind about what's happened before. Because we dealt with 9/11, we dealt with Katrina, and now we're dealing with this coronavirus. So there's all type of learning opportunities here.
Or fields open, like the football field, if a kid wants to go out there and throw football.
There's always a gate open somewhere. That's what I'll say officially. There's always a gate open. When I remember, I know I'll talk about that. Whenever I was working at Cool Seafood, and I was a kid, my dad wouldn't allow me to take off work to go lift weights, so we'd work from 4 in the morning until 7 at night. Well, the football stadium stuff would be closed, so I used to jump the fence at the YMCA in Ocean Springs and go in the back door and work out without anybody in there. At 9 o'clock at night. So for resourceful kids, they're gonna get in those buildings. They'll find space.
Now, and I guess one of the things I would want maybe next Friday potentially is how many students were not able to be reached, if we can get that number. I know it's gonna be some population out there, some people might travel and can get in touch with them now. And I guess at some point we have to have a plan with this completion. If they never get assignments or we never even reach out to them when they do decide to come back, maybe over the summer, they ready to advance, and we'll have to have some process in place for that.
Well, the third wave will be home visits. First thing we'll do is try to get children to school. Second thing we'll do is mail outs. Anybody that we get return mail on, and we'll deploy our law enforcement people to go to the house and bring a package, see if they physically live there or not. Because I received my neighbor's mail yesterday, I had to walk it over.
Mr. Irving raises a good point, because part of accountability is, as a board, as this is all new territory for us, one of our probably primary jobs as a board is to hold you guys accountable. And we're going to need data in some form or fashion to kind of figure that out. How do we know stuff's getting done from a contact perspective, from kid? I mean, I guess the main question is, are the kids learning during this time period? And I understand these are new times. But I think y'all have to figure out a way to translate data and information to us that we can say confidently that our kids learn during this time period. Maybe not every kid, but certainly the substantial majority of kids learn during this time period. And the only way to do that is through data, for us to kind of evaluate.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you making that statement. Because I told our people all week, this is exactly what you're going to have to do, because we have to be able to validate why we should pay people whenever we're out of school in the way that we are, and how do we validate that we've earned this money? Because we're still using taxpayer money to do this work.
Yeah, and I agree. We're getting on board with new stuff every day. One of the biggest several weeks ago coming into this thing versus the flu was that, the flu we have out of data, and it's almost to a label degree. Every year we can plan around it. And just to reemphasize, it is new territory. We do want the accountability, but understanding that urban is going to look different. It's going to take a different shape and different form for every household. I know right now, to the best I can see, we're doing fantastic. Like that borderline communicate to a fault, and I know we're addressing that, staying on top of it. If we can do the packet pickups, we can do the mail outs, we can drop them off, and we can stay available, and it's going to be an evergreen process. Just the best that you guys can do, and I think, one of our big jobs as a board is the accountability, and the other big job that we have as a board is ensuring that we stay on top of providing the resources that you guys need, and flexibility.
place where we are gonna shift a little bit of money over to postage, because we are gonna have to do more extensive mail outs than we anticipated at the beginning of the year. That's the one guaranteed way to get a packet to a home. It doesn't guarantee it's gonna get done, but it does get it to that space.
Sure.
And I've got a thing here, I'm gonna show, Mr. McNeil and the board. Yes, this is one day, yesterday. Yesterday, we made 16,229 contacts. We responded to 3,359 times.
That was.
That's our school status. That's what tracks everything that we do. So, yeah, just yesterday, 16,000 communications went out. And when I evaluate what's here, there'll be people that I'll be called when I leave the meeting to say, explain to me why this many students are in your school and this many students are in this school, and why there's double communication from this school to that school. But at the same time, I've got to balance it because, as Belinda told me, from us, dealing with secondary kids, some of these parents are working, getting hit, and their Eagles out in the yard, and I've got 14 calls on my thing, and then I'm in a panic over my kid. But we've got to do a better job communicating at a better time to parents.
Right, almost kind of with a teacher or something, setting up a time period. It's almost like an appointment.
Right.
Because I understand that like a Facebook message or a Facebook posting, well, that's a form of contact, or a text message or something like that, or a robocall. That's a form of contact. It's probably not as valuable as a teacher on the phone with the parent,
right,
talking.
But
And
those
those
that just showed you are not that's not a robocall.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
teacher
physical
texting an
teacher calling.
individual
Okay.
or a call.
Yeah.
That can be a text or a call, but that is to an individual. That is not a robo
Yeah.
mass out.
That's our teachers physically calling and texting.
And then the district that prides ourselves on parent contacts. And Dr. Malone, I think, can tell you that I'm a stickler for calling parents. The two most effective ways of communication, number one is face-to-face, number two is by phone. And everything else is way behind that. So we try to make those kind of, content, so we can hear the emotion of the parent on the other side, and we can try to solve their problem for them. And we're not 100% effective at it. And we're not going to be able to answer everybody's, get everything done for everybody, but at least they've had a chance to give us their part of it.
Are teachers going to be required to come in? I've had some teachers ask me this, and I don't know the answer. I didn't know what the plan was. Are they going to be required to come in one day a week to the school?
Yeah. Well, there's going to be times if they have to meet.
If they have to, but no, they're not going to be required to come to the school. They can, if they choose to. There will be certain hours the school will be open with an admin, but no, they will not be required. They have things they have to do from home. And, some of them are gonna have to because that's where the resources are. There's no way they can move their classroom to their home. I mean, they'll have to be up there sometimes to make sure their resources are what they need, but they're not going to be required. They will have requirements they will have to do, and they can either meet those at home. If they're not capable of meeting those at home, then they will be able to access the building.
Are we tracking hours for employees? How does this work in this
They're
situation?
basically on call during their workday. They're on call during their workday. And the other thing is we have iReady, which is probably the most genius thing we've ever done in the district was crew do the iReady, and that goes to Ms. Damon and her crew. But, my kids are getting notes from their teachers. Hey, I saw you did your iReady work. Good job. Keep working. Their parents said, teacher setting up. My wife sent a message to Ms. Mims at Mark Bluff and said, hey, have you thought about Dojo? Is it Dojo? You can set up and actually talk to your kids. Well, she set up a Dojo account, so she's out saying, hey, everybody, how y'all doing? And the kids are fine. Because, children are very connected to their teachers at a young age, and then even at secondary age they are. But so there are all types of technologies that are being employed that we haven't employed before. So we should come out of this in a better frame as far as relationships go.
My question, during this time, spring break actually happens. Are we gonna actually take a spring break and give the parents a spring break or the students a spring break?
We are giving 4 weeks of work, which
Okay.
includes the spring break. As far as, nobody's gonna be going anywhere during spring break. I don't think parents are going to want us to just stop during spring break because that's gonna be toward the end of this scenario. So, our packet will include 4 weeks, which does include that week of work. And we will you may see some things like nobody's working or communicating on that Friday or those types of things as we get there, but we're still gonna try to keep communicating and doing those things. This week was kind of, for teachers, this week was not a lot of work on their end. Now, other people outside outside of that, that was leadership, CTL, technology. Those people were going all week long, but teachers in reality this week didn't have a lot. We didn't use teachers to create those packets, any of that. So this in reality kind of, and the reality is they're not working 40 hours a week during the week either. They can communicate with their kids during those few days as well, is kind of my take on that. Just, it's different. It's a new reality, and I think the longer it stretches, the more stress, the longer this goes, the more stress there's going to be. So communicating with parents toward the end of this may be a very different experience than communicating with parents this week or next week. Because the more stress an adult feels, the more stress they find a way to release it on somebody else. And, that is one of those things teachers need to be aware of. We need to be communicating as an admin, communicating with our teachers that when you get into that situation, how to get out of it, because there will be some of that too. Just the frustration that an adult is feeling for all many reasons at that moment, and they were able to, you're asking me what my kid's done this week, and right now I don't really care because I'm down to one can of beans.
Yeah.
And we need to be cautious of that aspect as much as we need to be cautious of educating and continuing this process.
Yeah, because I walked in Jerry Lee's this morning, and I went to 3 different stores. First store I went to was Jerry Lee's. They had their bunny bread shelf in there, 1 loaf of bread per person, and that's the only thing on the entire bread shelf. It's barren outside. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be smart. And I'm going to go to Wayne Lee's and get the other Jerry Lee's. They'll bread on any shelf. So you start thinking about parents who may not have planned as well. I've got 4 cases of water I've got set up just for my daughter in Biloxi, who doesn't think they have at the same level. She's just not been through this before. And I think the lessons we learned from Hurricane Katrina is we have to be supportive of people to the best of our ability. We have to listen to people more than we talk, and we try to solve the problems that we can solve for. And anytime we find out that there are resources that are in need, it's just like with the backpack buddies, just like with the blood center. Anytime we can provide that light in the community as a school district, we need to do that to the best of our ability. And that's what I'm asking the board to allow us to continue.
Do we have food that will spoil within the next month that we're probably not going to use in our distribution?
Sarah has a plan for it. She's already talked about probably having to go to some hot meals so that she can use her food that she has.
Okay.
And she orders every month. She does a week. The week before she places the order, and she was able to come in and cancel all those food orders. Some of the perishable things she did cancel, so we wouldn't have a large inventory. Wouldn't really.
Yeah, she's planning to use it with her food.
Is the next agenda item talking about paying our staff and our employees? Or are we talking about it now and how that in the budget for that and everything in the legislature? Is that next, or is that
We're
this?
just standing on there to get in our policy.
Okay. Because I think, obviously that's a question that we're getting in the community. Are we paying? And what's the plan? And what's the legislature's plan and all that?
Well, the way our payroll runs, our pay period ended March, I believe, the 6th. So the March 31 payroll is based primarily on February work. So that's how that payroll was processed. From this point forward, there's a 9:30 conference call with JQ to get specifics on what exactly the law says, what we have to do, what we're required to do, the expectations, that type of thing. So probably the next board meeting, we can answer a little more of those questions. The intent, I believe, of the law is to give people pay if they don't have the opportunity to work. What we're going to face is when we have opportunities and we have people that just aren't showing up. That's the situation that people have the mentality of, well, I'm getting paid the way, so I'm just going to stay home. Well, that's not exactly what the law says.
But teachers are supposed to stay home. You're talking about for now, anyway.
Well, it depends. I mean,
Okay.
what the law said too is, MAP is going to continue to be funded, but what we all need to remember too is MAP doesn't fund, so everybody in this room, we're local. We're paid local funds, not MAP funds. So that's the other piece too. They've said teachers a couple times. You've heard teachers and staff. So in the auditor's office also, Chad White did a Facebook video and just kind of made the statement, even though these are emergency times, scary times, the expectation is that taxpayer dollars are still used effectively the way. And so we just have to make sure that we have everything documented, because that falls back on all of us if we don't. So
And we started the documentation process whenever the process started. We've worked through 2 weekends now, planning. There's not been a day off, there's not gonna be a day off. I mean, this is a more intensive for us as administrators than it is when we're in regular school session, because we have to look and manipulate things over the weekend and pull people in. The biggest thing is we're going to hold our people accountable for the essential roles they have. Everyone is being paid during the course of this time based on the governor's order through April 17th. We're not going to put anyone in danger. We're not going to require anyone who is ill to work. But there are essential things that have to be done during the course of this time, and we're going to require everyone to pull their weight up to the weight of that.
When you say everyone's getting paid, does that include like bus drivers?
Transportation will have a role as well. We've got everybody working, doing some form of work. Bus drivers will be paying for your food. Next week, they're cleaning buses now, they're disinfecting buses now, they're gassing buses now. They're doing maintenance on facilities now. Same thing with the maintenance department. They're cutting grass, doing work orders, putting up signs. Principals are in their building, facilitating all this online work, all these packets and all those things. So, yeah, everybody will be working. And everybody is available by phone 24 hours a day right now.
and we have the April 2nd board meeting, and that's just in about a week and a half. So by that point, we'll have, I'm sure, clear guidance to help answer that question.
Right, because I think we all just have questions about, what is our janitorial service, our custodians doing during this time period? I mean, we certainly want to pay them, but we don't have children in school, so how are we going to get creative in creating work for them to do? Maybe things that in a normal situation they wouldn't have an opportunity to get to, but maybe they do now.
Waxing floors.
Stuff,
Going to be the thing.
They're gonna get into some of the things they would do during the summer, the blinds, the desk, some of the things they would do in the summer, so.
Okay. And then, all right, thank you.
Do we want to go ahead and move on to 1C? First reading of proposed board policy GARIP per board policy adoption policy BDC. Mr. Rodolphus, do you want to read that for us?
The adoption of policies or changing existing policies is solely the responsibility of the board. It's important sufficient time be given to permit further study and to give interested parties an opportunity to react. Therefore, no new policies introduced for the first time shall be adopted until a subsequent reading of policy revisions may be adopted at first reading. During discussion of a board proposal, the views of the public and staff will be considered. Amendments may be proposed by board members. The board may temporarily approve the board policy to meet emergency conditions. However, discussion and a final vote must be taken before the policy shall be formally adopted. School board policies serve as a basis for operation for the district, and current copies of board policies are published and available for public review. 2561-1 through 7. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you want to do the first reading of the emergency administrative leave? Yeah, GARIP.
Based upon the issuance or proclamation of state of emergency, the state board by grant, I'm sorry, Kelly,
To be made, sorry.
may grant administrative leave with pay to district employees during the affected period. Any employee on a previously approved leave during the affected period shall be eligible for such administrative leave granted by the school board, and shall not be changed for his or her previously approved leave during this affected period.
So is this a new policy?
Yeah, some background on that. Apparently, we, in our leave policies, didn't have one specifically referring to emergency administrative paid leave. The House Bill 1647, which I'll have a copy of, which was passed by the Senate, I think Wednesday night, after the House had adjourned, has been sent to the governor, and I think he has until the 24th to sign it, but reached out to his chief of staff and he said he will sign that. So basically, the policy is just tracking that new law that gives the school board the authority to grant administrative leave with pay during the period of the state of emergency. So it's something we did not have until now. And if we have a first reading now and then April 2nd, by then we'll have a little more clarification and we can adopt it.
Anybody have any comments they'd like to make?
Looks good to me. One thing I'd encourage y'all to do is, everybody in this room is very much a public school supporter. And I think everybody is encouraged that the public education is going to be supported during this emergency time period. I would encourage y'all to communicate with principals and teachers, how teachers interact with social media. There's the private sector, and the parents, especially parents in the private sector, may take a very large financial hit. And we don't want to create resentment because of things that people in the private sector are seeing on social media that our teachers are doing, and then the parents or don't have income coming in, and they know the public school teachers do. And so I would just recommend that y'all encourage the principals and the teachers to be smart with their social media use, okay? I know that they're going to be working from home and that they're going to be doing great things for our children, but just be smart with it, that we don't create resentment between the private sector and the public educators who are going to be paid during this time period.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
A second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? None. All right, we are adjourned.
Hey, one quick note, yesterday, they